Hi, my name is Chris St.Croix. I wanted to tell the story of a little-known group that actually existed during World War II called the Nakam. And they were basically post-war, basically trying to get their pound of flesh back from, they would look for Nazis, and they would try to find just war criminals in general, and try to bring them to justice or kill them.
Good morning. My name is James. This is Abby. We're in your neighborhood today collecting information for the U.S. Census Bureau. Can we come in?
What is this?
The Census Bureau keeps track of all United States citizens. It helps us to determine the population.
Oh, no, I am sorry. I do not have time for this. Goodbye.
Mr. Rieger, it'll only take a second.
And it was kind of like, the American government didn't like them so much. But so anyway, I thought there was something cool in that, but I didn't have money for tanks. I didn't have money for costumes. What's the story I can tell? And I finally came up with this. I saw a short film with the two leads in it. I had worked with Jordan, who plays Rieger, before, so I knew he was the guy to do it. But I hadn't met Nettie or Jonathan yet, and I saw them in a short film together, and I thought, okay, I'm just gonna write it for them. I don't know them, I've never met them. I know the director, maybe he can give me their number. And I just wrote this thing. And I was like, oh, I can do this. I don't have the location, but I can do this. And I'll figure the rest out. But the story part of it really came from being a kid and living in that kind of dual world and never really being able to shake that and wanting to tell a story about the people that fought back, I guess. Getting it from idea to even just finishing the script, 9 or 10 pages, I'm pretty fast when I know what the story is. I do a lot of prep. I outline. Some people don't. And for me, the outline is really where the heavy lifting is. Now, for a 9-page script, that's not a lot. I think this one, I just wrote it. I think I just went ahead and just did it because it was going to take me longer to figure out how to say what they were going to say and what they were going to do. Then I just might as well just write the damn thing. But again, I thought I wrote to all the things I had except for this house. And I thought, oh, well, you write one line that says, I don't give it away, but there's, you write something in and, okay, for example, this isn't giving anything away. In the script, it says that there's this painting that has a lot to do with the story and really kind of is what breaks everything open. And I'm pretty good about this, but even this time I got caught and I said, oh, wait a minute. I can't use a famous painting. And I have friends that are artists, but it needs to be a certain kind of painting. And I don't know anybody that does impressionist paintings, and things like that. So I was like, oh, great. Now I've got this linchpin sort of prop. And so I made the painting myself.
You see this painting? That was a present to us on our wedding day from very special friends.
Mounier, right?
You have an eye for art, young man.
I know Photoshop pretty well. Everything I do is because I could never afford to pay anybody in the early days. Well, even now, who's gonna lie? But sometimes I can. But in this case, nobody was gonna put in the time to figure this out. When you're making any short film, you're always stuck between what you want to do and what you can do. But I think the true measure of whether any of us are decent, then good, and then great at this, and you've heard your favorite filmmakers, directors say this, is that it's figuring out how to do it even when you don't have all the pieces that would make it easier to do. And in my case, the big hurdle was, okay, I'm gonna be smart, I'm gonna do it in one location. Why did I have to choose a period, rich person? I know very few people that own giant homes. You know, the location, without that location, told everybody, I said, I got them excited about making, I got everybody excited about making the movie, but the problem I ran into was, the problem I always run into, is that for all the pre-thought that I put into it, there's always one piece that I'm like, oh, that's right, that incredibly beautiful home that I don't have any access to. Or, oh, that dungeon underground rock club that I wrote. Oh, I guess I'll just have to build that, which is what I did for one of my other shorts. I don't recommend that because it's very difficult. But this time we got lucky and we found a great location. And I had the actors and I had the script, and it was just about, let's do this. And, you know, I always self-finance everything, and everybody did it for the love of it, and we all walk away with a great calling card. I mean, that's just as much for me. Getting your vision from page to screen is the job, I think, as a director. It's honestly everybody's job in their own lane. But as a director, especially if you're writing your own stuff, for me, it all happens while I'm typing. I'm seeing it as I'm typing. As a matter of fact, I'll change something or won't change something if I think, well, that's a great idea, but I can't make that. Maybe it's because of money or logistics, but ultimately, you have to choose something that's going to get the end result. It's the sum of all the parts is really the thing. And I think everybody focuses maybe, oh, this cool shot or this cool scene. And I did that too. And I still do. We're always learning. But at some point, you remember that we're here to tell a story. And so in a way that makes it easier if you can get there, because if you get all the other messy stuff out of your head, you know, big dolly shots and things like that, and that's great, I love that. But regular people, like what I would say, the people that look at movies versus make them, because we look at movies, but if you make movies, you can never really look at a movie the same way that somebody else can. It's not better, it's actually worse for us. So getting it from page to screen is everything. It's the job. And for me, it starts on the page. And those words need to describe that world for the people reading it. Choosing the vision for final was me jumping into a territory that I hadn't gone to before. And a difficult territory for a lot of people because it takes place in 1980. And most people think, oh, when you're going to do the past, you sort of desaturate it a little bit and everything. And I definitely didn't want to go down that route because it was the whole thing took place. It wasn't a flashback. But I knew I didn't want to do what everybody else did. And of course, you watch everything and you sort of find that thing. But I was also thinking about a lot of television that I had seen in the last 4 or 5 years. And Ryan Featherston, our DP, and I were talking about, let's give ourselves let's really make a showcase for TV. But by the time we started doing it, I was like, man, I got to do it widescreen. It was one of those things. But the look of Final, I always wanted to be softer than I normally would do it. I knew I was going to add grain to whatever image we had. And when I talked with Ryan Featherston, our DP, about it ahead of time, he was on the same page as me. I showed him clips of things that I liked. Just so happened he liked those things too. And so it was really easy to kind of dial that in. And I also am incredibly lucky. I work with a guy named Rodney Williams, who's one of the best colorists in town and around. And he's worked on everything I've ever done. And I knew, even if I blew it, he'd be able to save me, which is another thing that you need to understand as a director. You know, your job is not to do, you can't do everything. You can, but it's diminishing returns. I don't like to build my sets and direct and write and shoot. But you gotta do what you gotta do. The external simplicity of a short film is a lie. It is much tougher to make than a feature. In a 2-hour movie, people will forgive you for a 2-minute scene that's a little slow. In a 2-minute movie, a 2-minute scene that's a little slow, we know we're, So it forces you to be at your best, and it also allows you to be at your best because there's really no rules. Not really. It's probably the most freedom I'll ever have. It's something that I wrote, directed, and shot, and that was short. Because the bigger it gets, the more responsibility you have for keeping people's attention. Taking that off the table frees you up a lot to just do crazy shit, Short films allow you to tell a different kind of story because not all stories take 90 minutes or 2 hours to complete. And I think we'd be at a major loss if we eliminated that. It would be like eliminating short stories from a writer's, from literary history.